I know the typical bike buying experience involves sort of going to your local shop, having a brand recommended to you, taking it out for a test ride, and then trying to make a decision based on how that test ride went. Are there some limitations to this process?
I think there are some limitations to test rides. One, unless every bike is set up to the same riding position, it's really difficult to discern what the differences are between the actual bikes and the riding positions. So you could find yourself testing the riding positions more than the bikes, and that's not a real good way to select the bike because it's skewing your impression of the bike. Two, there's a lot of different variables that make up the sum of a bike. So everything from wheels and tire pressure to the saddle that's on the bike is going to give you an impression of how the bike feels. A lot of those variables can be changed very easily, saddles for example, and you don't want to get in a situation where you're choosing a bike just based upon what saddle it has or what tire pressure it was ridden with on your test ride. You really want to be thinking about how the bike itself and its ride qualities match up with your needs. And three, test rides are difficult to do over a duration that corresponds well with how you'd actually be riding it when you owned it. If you make an impression based upon 5 to 10 minute ride, you might select a bike that feels really snappy and responsive for you, but you might find harsh and even uncomfortable on a really long ride. So you've got to make sure that if you're going to test ride that you're able to break those things down and equalize them out, or you might get a misimpression. I think you also need to be a little bit careful of selecting a brand before you know whether the bike is going to fit you well. If you are selecting, many shops will have alliances with specific brands and will often recommend a brand or a model before learning a whole lot about the rider's needs, and I think that's dangerous. So just be wary and make sure you're working with a dealer that you really trust in that regard.